10, West cutting. It's almost as if they wanted fans of the film to like hunt them down and like host a barbecue outside in the parking lot. In both Toy Story 2 and 3, their old address of 1001 West Cutting is tucked away where you'd least expect it. In Toy Story 2, there's an ad for Al's Toy Barn and the address is 1001 West Cutting, and then in Toy Story 3, there was a sign above Andy's door that says the same thing. We get it! We know where you live now, except they have since moved to Emeryville, and we know that because they have a reference to that in other films like Cars. I wonder if the studio has ever worried about people figuring this out and storming the castle to show their love. I'm pretty sure they'd welcome it. They'd be like, "Ah, cool, you found us. Here's the golden ticket. We're gonna put you in the next film." That'd be cute. Number 9, AI spiders. Animation in itself is like a painstaking process. Having to draw intricate lines, layers of animation with subtle changes is a tedious process. Pixar didn't want to add any more stress to the team by having to create intricate little cobwebs in the corners of one of their scenes. But what they did to solve the problem is kind of terrifying. Technical director Hasuk Chang created AI spiders that were designed to weave the webs just like real spiders. All the animators had to do was tell the spiders where they wanted the webs to be, and off they'd scatter. Without the spiders, it would have taken animators several months to create the webs because they'd have to do one strand at a time. So whenever you watch the film, keep an eye out for cobwebs and remember that they were created by real computer spiders. Does that make it kind of terrifying? Yes. Incredible? Absolutely. Number 8, the new Buzz. The amount of thought that goes into every Pixar film is one of the biggest reasons as to why the Toy Story series is just that good. They don't miss a thing. When Woody is first introduced to Buzz in the first movie, by way of the angle we know that Woody isn't exactly buzzed to see a new toy join the group. After all, that is the whole point of the first movie. So Pixar knew this shot would be important later when they introduced Buzz to a newer version of his toy self. Buzz then goes on to personify the internal battle of what we all endure within ourselves, against the person we want to be and the person we are. Can we be better? Or is the battle simply about realizing that we, with our peeling labels and scuffed plastic armor, have always been enough? Number 7, Clue. This next one is scary brilliant. This is honestly going to change the way I watch Pixar films going forward. I've never seen this one, so this one was so fun to hear about. Seriously, like I was sitting in my chair and guffawed when I saw this. During this scene, in Toy Story 2, when Ham is laying out the mission for tracking down Woody, he is standing on one of the best Easter eggs ever. Of course, Ham uses the board game Clue to discuss a detective mission that will put these toys to the test. Imagine being in the writer's room for that. They must have had an entire team dedicated to coming up with iconic Easter eggs. I'm speechless. This is perfect. If you're curious and you have Disney Plus or you have the movie, the timestamp is 18 minutes and 31 seconds and you'll see it. Brilliant. Number 6, what happened to Sid? For anyone who was around when the first Toy Story came out, Toy Story 3 was an emotional journey, to say the least. It was supposed to be the last film, and believe me when I say there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. And then of course they made a 4th movie, so it was a little like anticlimactic. Kind of. But I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was wondering what happened to Sid? Well, when the toys were accidentally tossed into the trash pile, Sid nearly becomes the terrifying antagonist again. He is indeed the garbage man! You can tell due to the nostalgic skull t-shirt he wore in the first film, he's wearing it again while he's like dancing out to beats while he's doing his job, having a great time. I'm glad he found success. Good for you, Sid, doing some good for your community. But looks like he just can't help nearly ruining the lives of these toys. Glad he never got away with it though. Number 5, Foreboding Future. Another really popular film in the Pixar realm is WALL-E, about a robot left behind after we humans destroyed the world. It's also a really cute love story and it makes my heart go, Despite WALL-E being adorable, it also depicts a terrifying image of our future. This next Easter egg hints at a darker future for our lovable Toy Story world. The batteries that fuel our beloved Buzz Lightyear are the same brand, the By and Large Corporation, which is the same company that created WALL-E. BNL created WALL-E to clean up planet Earth, and they also created the same batteries that fuel Buzz. It's a terrifying thought that among the trash WALL-E cleans up is one of our beloved toys. forever without a home. Number 4, so many Andys. I honestly didn't think this one was true until I went back and watched it, and yeah, it's pretty terrifying. When the kids are arriving for Andy's birthday in the first movie, about 10 minutes in, you can't tell which one's Andy because they're all Andy. Every single one of them is Andy except for the one kid by the staircase in the blue hat. The rest of the kids are all like carbon copies of Andy. Short buzz cut hair, round-headed ball caps. Andy is the one with the Woody hat. But I guess in an effort to save some time, they decided to press copy paste and save time on editing. Is this some kind of nod to the fact that some kids just look the same when they are that age, or was it just a way to save time? Don't believe me? Time for a rewatch and check the scene at 10 minutes in. Number 3, always alive. The reason I think Toy Story is so successful is that as kids, toys are some of our best friends and we give them life. Whether during an hour playing Barbie or in 10 minutes before bedtime, they were alive to us. In the Toy Story films, the toys are sentient beings, meaning that while we look away, they move, feel, think just like we do. But when we play with them, they're just that, toys. That was the kind of rule the film established. But during the film, viewers noticed a subtle breach in Woody. In one scene while Andy's playing with Woody, there are unexplained adjustments in his facial expressions, and we aren't sure why, which viewers found a little disturbing. Number 2, The Shining. One of the studio's core directors is Lee Unkrich, who has been involved with many of Pixar's heavy hitters including Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, and Toy Story. He also happens to be a massive fan of The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. He's even made a website dedicated to it, so it should be no surprise that he added in a few Easter eggs to pay respect to his favorite film. The most famous Easter egg is the carpet in Sid's house, which mirrors the carpet featured in the hallway of the film. I just watched The Shining for the first time this past winter, okay? There's lots of movies to catch up on. And I was extremely creeped out by Danny's imaginary friend, Mr. Tony. Well, Lee finally brought Mr. Tony to life, sort of, by making the janitor at Sunnyside Daycare Mr. Tony. And last but not least, if you are still with us guys, make sure to give us a like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you think so far and drop in any hints of what you've seen in the past watching Toy Story. Let us know. Number 1, Lost Story. Did you know Toy Story 2 almost didn't happen because it got deleted? About a year before the final release of the film, they were looking back at the file directory, saw 40 files one second and then 4 the next. All hearts stopped in the office that day as 90% of their work was deleted and they didn't have a backup at the studio. Luckily, one of their employees was working from home after they had just given birth, so she had copies at home of the film so she could work. This blockbusting mistake was a result of a faulty code which they referenced in the film itself. RMRF was the code that caused the mass destruction of Toy Story 2, and they set it as the license plate on the car that takes away Bo Peep in Toy Story 4. So that was kind of confusing, but you get what I mean.
Starting us off at number 10, we have an early Deathly Hallows cameo, but like really early. Back in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire movie that was released back in 2005, for a very small and brief moment, with some eagle eyes, you can see an object in Dumbledore's office on a shelf. This object is a see-through pyramid with a sphere in the center and what could be described as a wand pierced through the center of it. This is extremely close to the Deathly Hallows symbol that the entire Harry Potter series almost stems from. Well, aside from the night that Voldemort attempted to kill Harry along with his parents. But anyway, you're probably thinking that this was just an early cameo, so what's the big deal? The big deal here is that the final Harry Potter book wasn't even written yet. Half-Blood Prince, the 6th book, came out in 2005, but Deathly Hallows wouldn't be released for another 2 years in 2007. Yeah, I'm sure Rowling had an idea of what she was writing about at the time and was probably on set helping out with some small things, but yo, this is a very early Easter egg and I love it.
Coming in at number 9, we have Fred and George Weasley. Literally, those two are the best little trickster twin brothers ever. You really fall in love with their characters over the course of the movies and even in the books. Well, in Deathly Hallows Part 2, spoiler alert, Fred Weasley dies! I know! Why did she have to do that? Literally just ripped my heart out. Anyways, in one of the final scenes, when it's revealed that Harry is indeed still alive, George excitedly turns to his side, presumably to tell his twin brother Fred, the news, and Fred is always by his side. Then he realizes, oh wait, he's not there. He's dead, and then his facial expression just drops. Dude, this little detail ripped my heart out. Like, way to add salt to my wounds. It's like, yay, Harry's alive, but Fred isn't, and you're instantly depressed again. Try watching this scene again and notice this moment. It surely will make the scene feel a lot heavier than it already is.
At number 8, we have Draco Malfoy actually being a werewolf. I mean, I always knew there was something off about that little dweeb, but he just keeps getting worse and worse. This theory with the little Easter eggs have quite a bit of evidence to back it up. One part of the theory is that in the 6th and 7th books, Draco stops his prankster ways and becomes solely focused on assisting in the assassination of Dumbledore. The main point of this theory is that Fenrir Greyback bites Draco when his dad Lucius is not able to fetch the prophecy. Greyback is famously known as the one who bites Remus Lupin, thus famously turning him into a werewolf. Later on, there's a moment when Voldemort says to Draco that maybe you can babysit the cubs, referencing that Ramos and Tonks are having a child, as well as one theory of foreshadowing in a moment in the 3rd movie, Prisoner of Azkaban, when Draco is supposed to impersonate a werewolf as well. So is this theory true? Some say yes and some say no, but I will leave it up to you by watching the movies and reading the books over and over again, because if it's true, that changes a lot.
Coming in at number 7, we have Harry's scar. So we all know Harry's scar only burns or hurts when Voldemort is near. While in the Sorcerer's Stone, there's a scene where Harry's scar burns, yet Voldemort wasn't there. During the scene, Quirrell had his back to Harry, and as we know, in that dramatic reveal with that terrifying CGI, Voldemort was on the back of his head. So Voldemort was facing Harry, and that's when his scar started to hurt. Honestly, I need to pay attention more during the movies. Like, I totally didn't pick up on that one, and it's such an obvious Easter egg.
At number 6, we have Harry plus Ginny plus love potion equals love? Whoa, okay, what? Love potion? It's pretty clear in the books, but especially the movies, that Ginny has had a crush on Harry since the very frickin' beginning. From so many moments of her acting shy around him, with her going all wide-eyed whenever she surprisingly sees him. I mean, I think we all know that look. I mean, they're all like, oh man, there's my crush and I wasn't ready to see you right now, but oh god, I think I love you, will you marry me? Ah! No, just Ginny and I? Okay, cool, whatever. This theory erupts from the fact that Harry never really paid much attention to Ginny throughout most of the series, aside from being a close friend and almost a protective brother figure to Ginny. Then along comes Half-Blood Prince, where Harry is almost unhealthily obsessed with Ginny. How could this be? Well, that same installment in the Potter series is filled with many different characters using love potions, such as Marope Gaunt on Tom Sr., Romilda on Ron, and even Fred and George selling the love potions in their famous shop. This theory goes hand in hand with the theory that Voldemort is actually incapable of loving because his parents were a product of fake love out of a love potion. Does that mean that Harry and Ginny's kids will be incapable of love too? I don't know, you tell us, Rowling.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the intros. When I tell you, the creative directors and whole team behind the Harry Potter series, they literally thought about everything. Like, hello, the Easter eggs we have mentioned so far are absolutely genius. Anyways, this one is not as sneaky as the other ones, but it's still good. I don't know if you noticed, but the Warner Brothers intro to Harry Potter changes every movie. In fact, the logo gets darker and darker, just like the movies. It starts off bright because it's the first year at Hogwarts and nothing that crazy happens. I mean, compared to what they went through in the final movies, the first movie is nothing. Anyways, as more and more dark stuff happens to the gang, the intros reflect that. I will say though that the opening in Deathly Hallows Part 2 is slightly brighter than Deathly Hallows Part 1, and that probably symbolizes the fact that hope is near. Things are about to get better. The detail, people, I'm telling you, the detail. This is why I love the series.
At number 4, we have the Three Bros theory. There's a theory out there that predicts that Harry, Voldemort, and Snape are actually the 3 modern brothers of the Deathly Hallows tale, and honestly, when watching the movies and reading the books, the little Easter eggs and references kinda make sense. It is known that Harry is a descendant of Ignotus Peverell. It is also known that Voldemort is a descendant of Cadmus Peverell. So there's 2 descendants of the original Deathly Hallows tale. Could Snape be the missing third? Well, we can all say that Voldemort died for power, Snape died for his lost love of Lily Potter, and Harry bravely greeted death like an old friend, just like the 3 original brothers. The 3 characters led 3 very different paths just like the brothers in the story, and each of the characters came into contact with at least one of the Deathly Hallow objects throughout the series. So could these 3 be the brothers reimagined or even reincarnated? You tell me.
Coming in at number 3, we have Tom Riddle's room. Alright, so let's talk about the Half-Blood Prince for a second. In the flashback scene, we see Dumbledore visit young Tom Riddle in his bedroom at the orphanage. I completely missed this, but on the windowsill in his bedroom, there are 7 rocks resting there, all different shapes and sizes. This was a foreshadow that Tom Riddle would split his soul into 7 Horcruxes. Unbelievable. Let's give a round of applause for this Easter egg. It then makes me wonder if those rocks are placed in order of each Horcrux and if their size and shape have anything to do with it. I mean, the 7th Horcrux that was created was Nagini, who to Voldemort was perfect. So maybe that's why that stone is perfect. I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but it seems good to me.
Coming in at number 2, we have Dumbledore, who is actually Death himself. This is a theory that first came on the scene thanks to a Tumblr user, but there are plenty of eggs and references within the movies and books that lead us to believe that Dumbledore is indeed Death himself. First one being, Dumbledore is the one to give the invisibility cloak to Harry. Dumbledore is also the one to give the Resurrection Stone to Harry by giving it to him in the Golden Snitch. Then, Dumbledore indirectly gives the Elder Wand to Harry after he defeats Malfoy in a duel. The last piece, if you can buy it, is that Dumbledore can be considered behind or affiliated with the death of Snape and Voldemort. So with all those little tidbits, it makes you look at Dumbledore twice. Especially if the other 3 are the modern version of the 3 brothers from the Deathly Hallows, then Dumbledore could definitely be Death.
And in our number 1 spot today, we have the secret message. Snape was truly an unlikable character until the final book/movies, when it was revealed he actually loved Lily Potter and was protecting Harry with his life. Seriously, I went from despising Snape to being like, oh, he's a great guy. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman. Anyways, during one of Snape's first encounters with Harry, he leaves him with a secret message, which went way over our heads because we were too busy being like, who is this terrifying, tall, dark, and handsome, yet terrifying character? So in the scene, he asks Harry if he knows what would result in adding the powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood. Harry obviously doesn't know the answer, which whatever, that's fine. This was a huge secret message, and unless you know all about Victorian era flowers, you wouldn't have picked up on this. So asphodel is a relative of the lily, while wormwood is said to reflect loss and absence. Put that together and Snape was referring to Lily Potter, Harry's mom, like come on! My heart, it's a great and clever Easter egg.
Coming in at number 10, Scar is a rug in Hercules. Nobody likes Scar. The oddly British brother of King Mufasa who ends up conspiring to murder him is just, you know, a bit of a douchebag. Scar is a bad lion. I categorically don't agree with hunting animals and I find decorating with death a bit morbid, but it happens and some people have, say, moose heads on plaques on their wall or polar bears or lions turned into rugs. Anyway, in The Lion King, sassy old Zazu says that Scar would make a very handsome rug, and, well, it seems he did. At the end of Hercules' Zero to Hero sing-song, he dances with a lion pelt, which he then throws on the ground in style of a rug. Have a little look. Looks a lot like Scar, doesn't it? Dead, skinned Scar. Honestly, maybe in this lion's case, he got what was coming. Coming in at number 9, we have Clayton's corpse in Tarzan. I knew that Clayton died in Tarzan, but I never realized that his dead body flashed before my young eyes. So Tarzan and Clayton fight, but unfortunately for Clayton, he takes a few wrong moves and ends up falling into vines. A long drop and a scream was enough for me to realize that someone had died in Disney, although realistically I guess something could have saved him. But no, Disney makes it super clear without any of us realizing. If you look what happens when lightning flashes, you can see him hanging. Creepy and really scary. Coming into number 8, we have swastikas on Pongo's back. The late Walt Disney has regularly been accused of being an anti-Semite. He created a dubious and tone-deaf cartoon of Donald Duck dressed as Hitler reading Mein Kampf. He also hosted popular Third Reich Nazi film director Leni Riefenstahl in his studios. If all of that didn't happen, then maybe I would consider this more of a coincidence, but have a look at Pongo's spots on his back from this frame in 1961's 101 Dalmatians. Weird, right? Honestly, Honestly, I think this maybe is more of an awkward coincidence than an Easter egg, but a lot of people do think that perhaps one of the animators at Disney had something to do with it. Was it a signal? Coming into number 7, we have full frontal nudity in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Adults might not find this so scary, but this is definitely worrying and inappropriate for a Disney film. There is straight up full frontal nudity in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. To be fair, the character of Jessica Rabbit is pretty not okay for kids anyway, what with her Daily Mail headline inducing skin tight dress and thigh high slash. But it seems that Disney animators added one more minor detail. She's going commando, and we find out in one frame. There she is. As she is in a car accident and thrown out of a car and tossed in the air, we see her legs akimbo. Honestly, I do get it though, you can't get smooth lines in a dress like that with underpants on. Coming in at number 6, we have the lemon party in Cars 2. I'm sorry, but what the lemon is going on here, Disney? If you haven't heard of the phrase lemon party, you must have missed out on our Things You Shouldn't Google series. Lemon party is most certainly a thing you shouldn't Google, and it is also one of those Reddit bro chat fist bump gross things that lads in their late 20s and early 30s like to discuss over sips of bottled beer in their San Francisco design studios. Too descriptive? Sure. Anyway, some cheeky animators made a reference to it in Disney's Cars 2. If you know what it was, you would know that actually referencing it isn't okay. It is so obvious that it's a lemon party too. There are an abundance of lemons and party hats, and it makes no sense in context of the story. I have never noticed this, but I'm pretty scared at number 5. We have Snow White getting groped by a handsy forest. As Snow White encounters the huntsman, she runs away into the woods, far into the forest. As a kid, I was under no doubt that the woods are a scary place to be, but it turns out I missed out on the fact that actually, they're even scarier than I thought. As she runs for a few seconds, the woods appear to be alive and hell-bent on groping the young princess. Seriously, have a look. The branches have fingers, and creepy, spindly, gropey fingers at that. Honestly, how terrifying and non-consensual. Not okay, Disney. Coming into number 4, we have the muses are the haunted heads. Okay, we're back to Hercules. I love Hercules. Hercules and Disneyland share a scary little Easter egg between them. As the muses sing with Meg in I Won't Say I'm in Love, they line up like this. Have a look. This turns out to be exactly how the head statues are situated in the Haunted Mansion attraction in the Disneylands. What is Disney trying to tell us? I have to say, Hercules is one of my favourite Disney movies, and the Haunted Mansion is one of my favourite Disneyland rides, so... Coming into number 3, we have Jack Skellington in The Princess and the Frog. I love Jack Skellington, but he is a scary dude. Undoubtedly, he is the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, a scary town filled with the macabre where children throw heads instead of snowballs and the whole place is an absolute scream. Yes, we know that he is lovable if a little chaotic, but I honestly would be scared to see him lurking in the shadows. And it seems that this is exactly what he's doing in The Princess and the Frog. Have a look at that shadow there. To me, it looks a lot like the spooky Pumpkin King, does it not? Coming into number 2, we have skulls in Gaston's eyes. Gaston is gas gone after his fight with the Beast. He has nobody to blame but himself either. He is the worst from the very beginning. At the end, he breaks into the Beast's home, shoots him, and stabs him. He is not a gracious loser. There is no way that he could have survived the fall from those turrets to the ground, but in any case, if we were amid any confusion, Disney pops in a scary, morbid Easter egg. That's right, for a few terrifying frames, we see skulls in Gaston's piercing blue eyes. What a way to tell the audience that he was doomed. Finally, coming into number 1, we have numerous Shining references in Toy Story. Have you guys ever seen The Shining? It is terrifying, but it is one of Stanley Kubrick's finest works. The story is about a man who goes mad, is haunted by ghosts, and tries to murder his whole family, and there's a whole bathtub thing that I think we'll just save for another day. Scary, sure, but film buffs tend to love Stanley Kubrick, and the Toy Story creators are no exception. The Shining is referenced throughout all of the Toy Story movies pretty heavily. The number 237, for example, the number of the spooky hotel room with the bathtub lady that we're not talking about, comes up all of the time in the movie, and that carpet there is the same carpet from the Overlook Hotel in the horror film. If placing nods to one of the scariest books and films of all time in a children's movie isn't a scary Easter egg, I honestly don't know what is.